You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Roxy Marquez, a business partner at Virtuity Financial Partners, with their motto, "No Family Left Behind." Roxy's journey into financial education was shaped by becoming a mother and by the loss of both of her parents, which completely changed how she viewed money, protection, and legacy. Her work today focuses on helping families better understand financial decisions, prepare for the unexpected, and build long-term stability with intention. Roxy, welcome to the show. Did we get that?
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, well, welcome in. And I will say that you're based in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles area, but you're helping clients everywhere.
Throughout the US. And we recently expanded into Canada, so that's exciting.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Love what you do. You know, I love the motto, "No Family Left Behind," especially being a public housing professional as my full-time job. I think that that's super important, that you want to educate people on finances and, you know, what to do and that sort of thing. So let's start with your story. Tell us about what was going on in your life when you first felt pulled toward the financial education.
Of course. So I actually grew up in the finance industry. My very first job was at Washington Mutual when I was 18 years old. And I grew up within that industry. That's all I've ever known. However, I was inspired to start helping my community after my mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer in May 2021, and my dad was diagnosed in, I want to say late July, early August of 2021. Unfortunately for my mom and for our family, her cancer was already really far advanced before we even, got a heads up of what was going on, and she passed November 2021. My dad, we had a few extra years, and he sadly lost his battle June this year.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Wow. On all ends of that. So, like, what was the moment? Like, what were you doing for work at that time? Like,
So
when
I was, of course, I was working with home loans, banking,
okay,
helping our community around that area, right? After my mom's diagnosis, I realized, we were not prepared financially, emotionally, mentally for anything
right,
that, hit our family. But I realized that if I grew up in the finance industry and this information, this help was not accessible to me within the industry, how many other families are not getting help because they're falling through the cracks? So you're learning to understand the healthcare system, which is very complex as it is.
yeah,
But on top of
totally,
that, medical insurance will only take you so far, right? Then you have extra medical bills, and then you have to get someone to come to the home because your family member is fighting to stay alive. So you're looking at all these extra medical bills and just day-to-day bills. You're missing work, and again, insurance will only take you so far, so it's inevitable that bills are going to stack up. Now this was with just one diagnosis itself is brutal, but we had two diagnoses, and at the end, um, the reality is that unless you're fully prepared and someone sat down with you and made sure that your portfolio is properly structured, things are going to fall through the cracks, right? And a lot of middle America don't we don't have that.
right,
So,
totally.
mhm,
So, and I think you stated that, like, becoming a mother really shifted how you looked at money.
right.
Is that accurate? Like, in planning, and like what changed for you in that season?
Of course. So I actually became a single mom that
Okay.
same year. So it was literally my life did, 180.
Yep.
And I was trying to figure out how I can provide, especially in LA County. It's so expensive here. As a single income household with two little boys, I have two boys. They are the sweetest, sweetest babies.
It's awesome.
They're 12 and 13. Wait, I'm not allowed to call them babies, but they're 12 and 13 now.
Okay.
And just trying to figure out how I was going to support my children, support my parents, and build a legacy. After my mom passed, I realized I hadn't really taken the time to plan for my future.
Mm.
My first thought, it was almost like a light switch, honestly. My first thought was, what if I get sick and a couple of months I'm not here? Who takes care of my kids?
Right.
How do they go off to college? How do they, buy their home without mom providing for them? Because I'm the sole provider for my home.
Right.
And so I was actively already trying to learn when I connected with an old friend. And honestly, when I sat down and I went through understanding everything, I was so upset for myself and more specifically for my parents because if we would have known this information, their story would have looked 100% different.
Right. So, so it was really like when your mom was diagnosed, and then like when she unfortunately passed, that you were like, wow, like I need to figure this out. Like, was it left to you to like figure out all the, whatever she had behind, and to like figure out the finances, and then of course you were probably thinking about your dad too, because he was sick too at the time, diagnosis, only a few months later, right?
Hmm. So my mom really had nothing. We didn't
Yeah.
plan anything. We
Right.
never expect. And by the way, my mom was 60. She had mm, she had just turned 66. So she didn't we it was just kind of like out of the blue. We had never sat down and really talked about, hey, what happens if someone gets sick?
Right.
So when she passed, there's six of us, six siblings total. We sat down and we were like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? So she left. My sister kind of took charge of that, but we did discuss the possibility of having to set up a GoFundMe.
Okay.
Thankfully, we all came together and extended family, we all came together, and I'm forever grateful for our extended family. And we were able to get everything taken care of for her without having to set up GoFundMe's. But you see them all the
Right.
time.
You do. Yeah. You do. So then what happened from there? Like what was the first step you took towards, learning finances and getting things in order?
Right. So my first step was financial education, understanding how do I plan for my future? How do I leave a legacy? How do I make sure that if Lord forbid I get sick, my home stays financially afloat, right? So the first step is always education. And as I mentioned, Benny, when I found out this information, I was devastated for myself and for my parents because by the time that I learned of this, there was a lot of areas where I couldn't really help my dad anymore as much as I would have liked.
And Roxy, where did you go for education?
So I actually connected with one of the business partners here
Right.
within our platform, and she kind of took charge. She helped me, and another one of my again an old friend and business partner, and going through, like I said, the process of understanding my finances because nobody really sits down at 15, 12, 13 and tells you, hey Benny, this is what you have to do to be successful. This is how much you put away. This is what compound interest looks like.
Right.
This
Right.
is what your retirement should look like. No one sits down and explains that to you, right? So this was on you to me, and I realized I was very good at helping multi-billion dollar companies make more money,
Right.
but I didn't know how to help
How to help
myself.
yourself. Yeah. Sure.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So thankfully for your friend and then your potential like business partner, like they
Hmm.
they helped you. Um, So, like, what was it like trying to navigate all that grief and like dealing with the financials and healthcare all at once?
Well, honestly, the healthcare system in the US needs a lot of improvement at best, right? So it's, it, it was definitely heavy, trying to advocate, trying to sit with social workers, trying to, be in communication with your siblings. One tackles this, the other one tackles this, but thankfully we had each other. Not every family has, six people that are trying to protect our parents, right?
Right.
So with my mom, it was just so fast. I want to say by July, August, they told us she wouldn't make it past September. So
Wow.
she passed November 2021. So she, stayed with us a little longer, but
Right.
um, it was brutal. It was brutal. There's nothing that prepares you for watching your loved one essentially disappear in front of you, and there's nothing you can do, right? There's just nothing you can
Right.
do.
Right.
So,
So, what was the moment that it hit you like, wow, like people are not taught how to handle this and taught how to handle like medical documents and like knowing like finances and that sort of thing.
well, as I mentioned, I had just become a single parent.
Yeah.
A
Yep.
couple days before my mom passed, she asked me, she told me she was leaving, and I was able to say goodbye to her. And she told me it was very sweet. She said, "Go give me my purse so I can give you money so you and the boys don't need anything."
Mm,
And at that moment, I realized I don't know if I'm going to be okay financially because I had just transitioned again from a dual income household to a single income household, trying to catch my footing there. And
right.
on top of that, I didn't know how many, like what our expenses were going to look like. Um, so after that moment, it was like I said, just like a light switch where I was like, something's got to give. I'm killing myself as a single parent. I was working 127 hours at the
What?
time,
No.
127 hours every 2 weeks. I was working
Wow.
weekends. I was working 10, 12-hour shifts. And on top of that, I was doing side gigs like event planning, wedding
Sure.
coordinating,
Yep.
anything that can generate extra income. And I realized, okay, I'm bringing in income, but it's going out faster than what I'm bringing in.
Right.
So when I say, I was trying to stay afloat, I wasn't even staying afloat.
Yeah,
So
that's no, that's wild. So,
it was a vicious cycle. It was a vicious
yeah.
cycle. I realized something needed to change.
So tell me about Vertuity.
So Virtuity Financial is just an amazing, amazing company, and I've never
So
seen
before
anything
we
like it.
so we know we love what you guys do. Tell
Hmm.
me this leading up to it. How you got involved, how you came up with the name, like how you like decided to, join the business partners if it was
Hmm.
existing. Like tell us right from um that moment that you decided you need to do something after the unfortunate, your mother passed.
Right. So I was first, it was already established when I joined. So thankfully
Okay.
someone else had already, did the founding and everything. But um I was kind of hesitant about it, honestly, because I was taught, hey, you work hard and you save what you can. That's what I grew up watching. So
Right.
I was sitting there working, as I mentioned, just killing myself at work, and I saw, these people helping families, and I realized, like, what are they doing? I want to help families.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
just witnessed it firsthand how it had helped me. And I said, you know what? Let me give this a chance. I'll do this part-time and let's see what happens. And once I got my first commission and my first client, I was like, wait a second, this is what my check looks like, and this is partial commission, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, but if I can do this, if I can bring 4 or 5 clients per month, I can replace and exceed my income now while doing it from home with my babies.
Right.
So my biggest why was I don't want someone else raising my kids. I
Mhm.
want to be a hands-on mom, but I also want to help my community.
Right.
And this was the answer.
Well, it's so meaningful for you too because you would have liked that help, I'm sure, like a few years before, your parents passed, back in 2019. If somebody had said to you, "Hey, like, let's look at your finances, let's see like how prepared you are, like your parents," and that would have helped. So now you get to, do that for other people, and so it's very
Mhm.
meaningful. So tell us like the services that you guys offer there. And well, first of all, how long have you been there? And like what services, how has it grown since you've been there? Like your book of business and like what you're doing.
So we've grown so much in the last few years. We it used when I started in 2022 maybe. 2023. I didn't start that long ago, really. But because I already had the financial background, I was like, hey, I'm just changing my focus from helping a company to helping my client, right? So we've grown exponentially. We are, as I mentioned to you earlier, we're licensed to help families in all 50 states, including Puerto Rico and recently now Canada.
Hmm.
Our goal is to have 1,000 licensed agents in our agency.
Oh, wow. And how
Right.
many clients? Say that again.
So every agent has their own book of business,
Okay.
right? Because they're essentially they own their book of business,
Right.
right? But our goal is to have at least 1,000 licensed agents within our company.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
amazing. And how many were there when you started?
I cannot remember.
Okay.
I
All right.
honestly that I don't know.
All right. So tell us what the services are that Virtuity Financial offers.
So anything finance, we do many. The biggest things are, of course, annuities, fixed annuities, indexed annuities, life insurance, right? That's huge for any portfolio. We have long-term care, estate preservation strategies and planning, final expense, college savings plans, active money management, debt management, business succession planning. We do anything finance. And I think that that's what sets us apart. Essentially, what we have created is an Amazon of finance per se,
Interesting.
right? So if you go right now, you walk into, let's say Nike, you're only going to find Nike products,
Right.
right? If you go to Adidas, it's going to be the same thing. You go to any store, you're only going to find their brand. But
Hmm.
if you go to Amazon, you're going to find a variety of products at a variety of prices that are going to meet your specific needs.
So are you like a broker?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what we do. So we
Okay.
have partnerships with over 150 financial institutions. We have huge financial companies, by the way, like Aegon, who they have over one. They are huge. I don't know the exact number, so I do owe you that. But we have Transamerica, we have Fidelity, Vanguard, Pacific Life. So we come with huge financial backing when we sit
Okay.
with our clients. And as I mentioned, what sets us apart is we don't represent any company. We
Right.
represent our client
Whatever's
to the
you
financial
So
industry.
you represent whatever's in the best deal for that client. Is that at the
Mhm.
moment, like you go and you look like what can be the best fit for this person, like what fits the price range today? Does that fluctuate every day, maybe? Like what's going to fit the person in terms of price? Like
Well,
maybe,
it fluctuates based on the client's need. So, for
okay,
example, if I sit with someone that says, hey, Roxy, I want to leave a legacy. I don't know where to start. I'm struggling as it is. How do I make sure that my kids are set? Right. So, I sit down and we do a financial analysis and we figure out what's coming in every month, what's going out every month, where it's going to. Because sometimes you sit with people and they say, well, I'm living less than paycheck to paycheck, but they're spending money left and right, you
right,
know? So the goal is
DoorDash and Uber Eats and like
exactly
flying.
Starbucks,
Yeah.
Target. If you're, girls, we know that, right?
Right.
But the goal is to make small changes in your spending habits that are going to begin to compound over time,
Right. Okay.
right? So when we sit with our clients, there's a lot of ways that we learn what they need, right?
So,
So
so let
one,
me go ahead. No, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
okay, the biggest one is the financial analysis, right? Second, a lot of people go from job to job and they leave their 401k in every job,
Okay.
right?
That's
So
right.
the money is just sitting there.
Right.
So we
Right.
want to make sure that
You got
when
to
you're
roll it.
growing and when you're going, you're rolling it
You got
over
to
and you're
roll it.
setting it up to grow with you.
Roll it, baby. Roll it. So let me
Hmm.
ask you a question. Let's talk. So say Joe Smith comes in and says, "Hey, Roxy, I'm making $1,000 a week, like this, and then but I'm spending 600, like 700 a week. Like, what can you offer me? Like, give me the analysis for like a new client that comes to see you."
Okay, so first we do how much are you bringing in? And then if you're spending $600 a month, so setting money aside, I've learned that it's like a muscle, right? So first I'm going to challenge you and say, hey, Joe, let's set aside $200 a month.
Okay.
Let's start off there. Let's make sure that $200 a month are protecting your family and that your money is growing, right? So that's going to be your first goal. Once you get used to setting aside that $200, you're going to forget that you're setting money aside every
Right.
month.
Right.
So the next goal is let's increase it. Let's do $300 per month. And
Okay.
then the next year we're going to do $400 a month and
So where do
500. And in the meantime it's compounding.
so where do the products fall into place that they might need?
What do you mean?
Like
So,
from the different companies, like that you broker for.
mhm,
Like, how would Joe Smith get access to those?
we
Or
educate them. We educate him
okay,
on that. So all of our products, they do require licensing, right? So we sit down and once we do the financial analysis, then we do our due diligence and we figure out how do we help this client, what's going to benefit him and not necessarily the company. Not that we want to cause harm to the company, but at the end of the day, I represent my client, right?
yeah,
So first, if they don't have, for example, like life insurance with long-term care, my question to them is, okay, Joe, so if you're the primary earner in your home, what happens if you get sick and you can't work for a year? How does your family stay afloat? What is your safety net?
right,
So we want to make sure that when you're building out your financial portfolio, you have your foundation in place so that then you can build your dream home.
right. So, what differentiates you from like a financial advisor? Like, I have friends that they look at somebody's account, they put them in mutual funds, stocks, whatever it is, just to like help them grow their money.
Hmm. So we don't charge. All of our services are complimentary.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that sets us apart. Second,
Wow.
we come with it with an education approach, right? So if we find a strategy that makes sense for our client, then we get compensated directly through the company. So this always ensures that A, we're prioritizing our client's need, and B, that we're finding personalized solutions um, that ensure that throughout our process, there is no financial exchange between us and our clients.
Okay. So you have a lot of different items that you can pick from to put people in. As you're listening to somebody's financial situation, are you sort of thinking okay, like maybe this person needs this and that or that? Is that how it works? Like this product or that product? And then do you go into like some portal or system to see what the prices are for each
Mhm.
company that you work with? How does that work?
That's exactly it. So we sit down, we do the financial analysis. I figure out, okay, this is the foundation. This is the foundation for his portfolio. This is what we need to set him up. This is where he's lacking. What is growing? When you're setting up an account, there's hundreds and thousands of products, and that's the truth, right? But there's multiple things that we take into consideration. For example, what is the administrative fees for each account? Are they going to have to pay taxes? Right? What is the taxes going to look like? Is their portfolio keeping up with inflation?
Wow.
And if so, then where can we make sure that we strengthen it? If it's not, then we need to sit back and make sure that it's keeping up with inflation, because inflation increases an average of 3% per year, right? So
Yeah. Wow.
what goes, what happens after that? If your finances, because I know at the end of the day, people are not going to get a 3% raise most of the time, and if they do, they have to pay taxes on that raise. So it's still not going to keep up with inflation.
So give me an example of like two or three products that you offer. I know we talked about it a little while ago, but just you like long-term care, annuities, life insurance. So when you figure out that, you ask John Smith, like if you need some, like you think he needs life insurance, do you then pass them off to the life insurance company, or are you with them through sort of like the course of whatever it is?
We are with them through the from beginning to end. And our goal is, obviously, as life is lifing, as they say, right? Uh, Everyone's situation changes, right? So if I'm sitting with Joe and he's not married, and then 2 years down the line he meets Caroline, they fall in love. Now he wants to plan for a wedding. So now we sit down and we say, okay, Joe and Caroline, how do we make sure that your finances support your dream wedding?
Right.
Then they have a baby. Okay, so now let's set up your baby to make sure that he's also successful in life, right? So our goal is to have walk alongside our clients as life is changing for them, and at every
Okay.
point their finances are supporting of those changes.
Right. So like what's the least or the most uh, useful product that you see, and what's like the thing that you kind of look at the least? Is there something like that?
I want to say my biggest and my favorite is IULs, only because the death benefit, of course, is huge.
IUL, say what
IULs,
term?
Index Universal Lives, cash value life insurance.
Okay.
So it's the easiest way to set like reach wealth, right?
Yep.
So you're getting your death benefit. And if you're young enough, this is what a lot of people don't know, right? If you are 20, you set yourself up with a cash value life insurance. It's going to be significantly cheaper than if you set yourself or you get insurance at 60, right? So you set yourself up, you're slowly putting away 200, $300. It's sitting there protecting you, but it's also growing. It's compound interest, it's growing over time.
Yeah.
And then let's say, Lord forbid, something happens, your family connects the death benefit, plus they also collect your growth. Let's say that you want to buy a home, or you
Okay.
want to start a business, you want to travel. You can tap into your strategy, and you can use whatever accumulation you may already have while you're alive,
Right.
right? Now, index accounts, they're tax free. It's sitting there, it's reaching significantly higher interest rates than even a high yield savings accounts, and it's market protected.
Hmm.
So when someone that doesn't want to take risks, and again, they're not used to it, that's how we start setting them up like, hey, this is where we start. A, you're protecting your home, and B, your money's growing.
Wow.
There's no downside to that.
So what makes people like so what's the difference? We already talked about like the difference between doing like a financial planner, but how about like insurance agents and like what's the difference? Like what makes your company stand out?
So we are also licensed in life and health as well. So we
Okay.
do as well do that. We, as I mentioned, the difference is we help our clients with understanding finances, with education, and if they need extra income, we also help them tap into the revenue of like, hey, let's get your license. If you're licensed, you can help your network, your family, and you can start getting extra income and building your own portfolio,
What license do
right?
they have to
So
get to do that?
to start off, the basic license is life and health. That's the
Okay.
very, very basic, right?
Okay.
But we're licensed in life and health advisory security licenses. So as I mentioned, we come with huge. Everything is very highly monitored. Of course, we want to make sure that we're training everyone. That we want to make sure that if you're meeting with a client, that you understand that the client comes first. Even if you sit down and the client says, hey, you know what, this isn't for me. That's amazing, because at the end of the day, you're walking away understanding more about your finances than when we first connected. So
Right.
you're taking something with you.
Right, right. And so, like, speaking of that, like, you talk about a lot about how earning, or you've talked about earning good money doesn't necessarily mean people are actually prepared.
Mhm.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Perfect example, and I always touch on this example by Michael Jackson. He passed in 2009. His family just recently was able to collect off of his estate,
Mm,
because nothing was structured properly to protect his family. And we've seen the videos of him working at 5, 6 years old, performing, making money. We're talking about millions, maybe billions in
right.
assets, and his family was not able to touch any of it.
Mm, okay.
So the reality is just because you're wealthy doesn't mean that you're set up and that your family is protected in case something were to happen. And we've seen it all the time. You see those like famous influencers, YouTubers,
Yep.
people that you're like, wait a second, they're wealthier than I am. Why
Right.
is there a GoFundMe? Well, now you know. If someone passes, everything goes to probate if it's not properly structured.
Right. It's
Even your
true.
account is locked.
Do you have
Even
to
your bank
like?
account.
Do you have to refer things to estate planning attorneys?
No, we do help with estate planning, but our goal is always our goal is making sure that we do actually, but it depending on the situation, right?
Yeah.
Our goal is to make sure that you have everything structured so that your family doesn't have to go into probate.
Okay.
Right? So our goal is avoiding that process altogether, because it's so time consuming and it's so expensive and it can take years. And a lot of people don't make it past those years because attorneys are expensive. The
Right.
process is, again, time consuming. So especially for, average Joe, it ends up being more of a hassle than what they actually are going to get.
Right.
And a lot of people assume like, well, I don't need to set myself up because I don't own assets. I don't have $1 million. My family's good. They have access to my account. But everything is locked the moment that you pass. The moment that your doctor signs that got the death certificate, that you've expired, they call the mortuary, and then the nurses call a 1-800 number where they give your name, your social security, and everything is frozen. So only
Why not?
certain
Yeah.
certain accounts override that. So we want to make sure that your portfolio contains A, of course it's diversified, but B, that if something happens to you tomorrow,
Hmm.
your family doesn't have to worry about that.
Okay. So why not go to an estate planning attorney? That's what they like specialize in.
That's true.
Yeah. So I guess you could do that. But okay, let me
I guess you can do that, but we don't charge. So and
okay.
we teach you about your money. So
All right. So Roxy, why do you think so many people avoid the conversations about life insurance planning or legacy until it's too late?
Benny, I honestly think, especially in the Latino community, I'm being fully honest, it's taboo.
Really?
Yes, people that tell you, like, people will say, you don't even have to tell anyone how much you make. You don't tell anybody, how much you have in your bank account. And the reality is that we're just not talking about it. If we're not talking about it, how do we do better? The American dream used to be, get yourself a good job, you graduate high school, get yourself a good job, you go to college and you buy your home. That's the
Right?
American dream,
Right?
right? But let's dissect this a little bit. You a lot of people don't have the financial means to pay for college up front. So what do? They get credit cards, they get student loans. I just sat down with someone like 2 weeks ago
Really?
who owes $150,000 in student loans at a 17% interest rate.
Oof.
When do you think they're going to finish paying that off?
When they're 250 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So
Exactly.
then you're
Exactly.
exactly. So then you graduate from school, and then your next goal is to buy a home, which is more debt. So the American dream is built around debt.
Mm,
And that should be alarming. That should be
right.
alarming for our children. That should be alarming for our grandchildren.
Right. No, it is. That's true. I know, and that's pretty wild. And I do
Hmm.
think it is. Maybe it's taboo in a certain culture, but I think it's difficult to talk about those things. Money and is just always like a difficult topic, I think. Um, so I'm always interested to hear what people have to say, like when I see it on social media and like that sort of thing.
Well, and I also want to add that a lot of people don't want to talk about them dying and leaving their loved ones.
Mm,
A lot of people don't want to talk about your mom passing, your dad passing, your sibling passing. Some of my siblings don't even want to get life insurance
yeah,
after we just buried our parents. You know what I mean?
right,
It's just for whatever reason, there's that narrative of, um, life insurance is a waste of money.
right.
Nobody wants to talk about it. But when someone passes, one of the very first questions is, did they have life insurance?
Mm, yeah, it's true. So, Roxy, where did the name No Family Left Behind come from?
Oh,
Uh,
that's our
and
motto.
okay,
Um,
okay, sorry. Where did the motto "No Family Left Behind" come from, and what does it mean to you personally?
Benny, if I would have walked in to, let's say, JP Morgan Chase, and if I would have asked to sit down with an advisor when I had just become a single parent, I had no net worth, I had no nothing, and I was in debt upside down trying to survive, right? They wouldn't have given me their time of day.
Mm,
And that's what it means to me that I get to turn around and help that single mother struggling.
mm,
I get to turn around and make sure that every family that I come across has the tools and the resources to avoid what my family couldn't avoid.
mm.
I get to turn around and make sure that that grieving daughter can still provide for her children. And that is what
Yeah.
No Family Left Behind, because I was there. My family, I'm first generation Latina, so Mexican American. So my parents came here illegally. They came here, they were undocumented. Over time, they worked everything out, but they were undocumented. I grew up watching my parents struggle.
Mm,
No one, if my dad would have walked into any bank and said, I need help with my finances, they probably would have laughed at us,
right.
and that is what it means that we sit down and we sit with people that with a multi-million dollar net worth, multi-billion dollar net worth, and someone that doesn't have a net worth because they didn't have, they are just starting.
Right.
I've sat down, and this is something new about that I love about the younger generation. I've sat down with a lot of younger individuals, don't have kids, are still in college, and they say, I want to set myself up for success.
Wow. That's pretty
So
good.
we already know that that's already,
So what do you do for
one
them
step
in that position? What do you do for them?
Of course, we help them with money management. If they have loans, debt management, we help them set up with like, of course, like life insurance. If they're able to contribute to like mutual funds, we set all of that up. And a lot of the times I have one of my business partners, she is going to college and she's making extra income by helping her group of family and friends.
Hmm.
She's helping them set up their finances,
Hmm.
and with that she's paying off college,
Wow.
so she's avoiding student loans altogether. So
Okay.
again, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. It's a case by case situation.
Mhm.
But the goal is, it doesn't matter how old or how young you are, you have a chance to change the narrative, not just for you, but for your family, and leave a legacy.
Mm.
My children are 12 and 13,
Yep.
and they're talking about retirement. They're asking questions about taxes. They're talking about
Great.
entrepreneurship.
That's great.
And that alone lets me know that what I'm doing is changing the legacy of my family.
Totally. Those are amazing questions to be asking at 12 or 13, believe me.
12 and 13.
That's
Yes,
really
it's
that's
true.
really impressive. Nice job, Mama.
Thank you.
So, for someone listening who feels behind or overwhelmed, like what would you want them to hear right now?
So, my first thing is, don't panic. Never panic. It's it doesn't matter when you start, the point is to start. It doesn't matter
Right.
how, it doesn't matter what you're looking at in front of you. The point is just start. Start small. Start learning. Start asking questions. If your group of people around you are not supportive of what you're trying to learn, of what you're trying to build for yourself, then you need a new group of people, right?
Right.
Sit with your friends and talk about wealth, talk about legacies, talk about business. It doesn't matter what your current situation is. In a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, it can look 100% different if you just make that decision
Hmm.
to start.
Right. So, and speaking of starting, like, what's one small step people can take today that actually will make a big difference long term?
That's a great question. Yeah, I want to say everything, honestly. Um, what's one small step? One small step is connecting with me so I can help you about your teach you with financial education.
Connect with
But
Roxy.
connect with Roxy, thank you. No, I would say change what you are consuming. A lot of the times, social media is very negative. You fall
Yep.
into, the whatever's going on at that point in time, but change what you are consuming because it starts rewiring your brain and it starts changing your conversations. Go from I hate Mondays to hey, I set aside, $20 this month. Next month you set aside another, 40. And just small habits that again over time will compound.
Yeah. Smart.
That's it. Just start small. Doesn't matter how small it is, just start.
Sweet.
But again, just changing your what you're consuming, the words that are coming out of your mouth, the what you're watching on TV, what you're listening to on the radio. Don't fall into the trap of whatever social media is pushing out that day. Fall into the trap of what you're building and where you are going. Because the right people will grow with you. And the ones that are not growing with you just don't need to grow with you. They
See
need to
ya.
grow with
Yeah.
you.
So, Roxy, what's the biggest mistake you see families make? Like, even those who seem financially successful.
um, even even if they're financially successful, if they seem financially
Yeah, if they
successful,
appear to be financially successful, what are they doing wrong still?
not talking about finances within, the children and teaching
Okay.
them early is huge. Two, again, just making sure that it's properly structured and then you don't that you have the correct accounts to make sure that your finances, your portfolio they don't end up in probate.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, talking to your family and being prepared, right? Because we've all seen it. We have all seen it. You're here one day and you're gone the next.
Right. Right.
So just not being prepared and not being prepared. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but 60 to 65% of bankruptcies are due to medical illness and medical bills.
Mm.
This is a very real
Wow.
statistic that people are just always thinking it's not going to happen to me. I have insurance through work. I'm good. I have life insurance through work. I have, somebody has access to my bank account. I'm okay. It's not enough.
Wow. That's crazy.
Mhm.
So, what does legacy mean to you?
Legacy. So legacy means for me changing the life, making sure that my kids never have to struggle the way that I struggled. So making sure that at 12 and 13, they already understand how their money works. They already understand, I pull up their investment accounts and I show them, hey, this is what your money looks like today. This is how much mom is putting away every month.
Wow.
This is our goal, right? So my legacy is, and I'm very open about this. I come from very, very humble beginnings.
Yep.
And I know that I've broken a lot of cycles with my children, but my goal is to make sure that they go further than I went.
I like it.
My goal is to make sure that they always chase their dreams,
Right.
not only that they have the financial discipline, that they understand what their goals are, and that they continue that legacy. That my dad, he wanted to be a business owner. He was a business owner for a few years, and I think about it now and I wonder, what if somebody would have sat down with him then and
Mm,
explained it to him? How different would our life have been? And how different would his legacy have been? Now, my parents passed down hard work, they passed down ethic. Now I get to pass down wealth and I get to complete that legacy so my kids can build off of that.
right. I love that. I love all of that. What do you think of like those apps like Stash and Acorns and like saving money that way? Are you familiar with any of those?
I am. I don't love them.
Why?
I don't love them because,
Besides the fact they're not working with you.
well,
Hmm,
but
hmm.
well, I mean, obviously, you would call me if I'm on speed dial. I'm gonna say, "Hey, Joe Smith, how's your day been?" No, but um, there's a lot that goes to that. You're trusting, you're putting money aside, that's correct, but what will your taxes look like long term? Is it going to sit down? Is that app going to sit down and teach you long-term goal, small habits? Is that
Right.
app going to sit down and help you reach your goals, your next goal and your next goal if you're not understanding the concept of what you're doing? Right? I feel like they're so popular, but I honestly, it's a little concerning for me, but
Okay.
you know,
So, what impact do you hope people have? What impact do you hope your story has on people listening to us talk about your story and what you do?
uh, I would like to just, if anyone takes anything from, this episode, it's that obviously always be prepared for what your life may look like in a year or two, but B, anyone from any type of background can make that change and create generational wealth. It just takes one person to think about wealth differently, to think about money differently, to change that cycle and say, it ends with me,
Mm.
right? So, um, I think that would be my biggest thing.
Okay.
You can be that person for your family.
Right.
And even if you feel like, hey, I'm already making enough money, we're already living our dream life, sit down and still make sure that your family can maintain that lifestyle 120, 100 and 200 years down the line.
Wow.
It,
That's a long time, but that's pretty sweet. No, I like it. So, what else did we miss today that you wanted to touch upon?
um, I don't know. I think that would be like the biggest ones, like our biggest topics.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
Entrepreneurship, finance. I've sat with people that have multiple businesses that, have a net worth of millions of dollars, and they say, "Hey, I didn't know this. I'm a
Wow.
business owner and no one taught me this."
Right, right.
You
So
know, so
contact Roxy. It'd be nice to get some young lawyers to contact you too to help set them up, with like give
exactly.
them some info and about like the like long-term care and insurance and all that stuff. A lot of
Hmm.
entrepreneur young lawyers starting their own firms out there
Hmm.
probably could use a chat with you at some point, like see what
Absolutely.
kind of services you can offer.
And even if they're just starting their firm, we set up 401ks for them. We set up group
Wow.
life as well, and it's all complimentary. You don't have to go through a company and pay when you have someone that's going to take the time to sit down and make sure that not only are you protected and structured, your employees, if you're starting your own firm, have that leg up as well. So it's not just about you. And, sometimes I used to work with an attorney, with Natalia actually, and, people get these settlements and they don't have the discipline
Right,
to do anything with it.
right. Yeah, no, it's they don't really know what to do. Like
Hmm.
they need an advisor to know what to do. What if somebody
Exactly.
says to you, "Hey, I want to invest in this stock. I heard this tech stock's good, or this mutual fund." Do you help them do that?
Yes, the rule of thumb though is always, and this I learned from my mentor because um when I first started, I was like, I want to invest here, but the rule of thumb is 20% on what it is that you think that whatever you want to invest in, and 80% in what's already well established and already growing. And you want to make sure that you're kind of um, moving with safety and security, because you don't want to invest everything in one type of stock. And that's the biggest thing. That's another big thing that I want everyone to know. If you sit with an advisor or you sit with someone that says, hey, Benny, you have to put 100% of your money in this type of account, that's going to reach financial security. That advisor is not looking out for you.
Right.
The strength in any financial portfolio is diversification. You don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. So you want to make sure that you sit with someone that can say, okay, well, this is how much you can play with. This is how much you can invest in, crypto or whatever. But crypto is not a retirement plan. Your 401k itself wasn't designed to be the only tool for retirement, by the way.
Right.
Right.
So how do they go about that procedurally, like with you, to get into like a mutual fund or stock? Do you have to go through like a licensed broker, or like what do you
Yes.
do? Okay.
And we have, we're licensed as well. So we sit down and we kind of break everything down for you, and you get to select, hey, this is a stock I want, this is what I don't want, or this, I want to be a little bit more aggressive, or I want to be a little bit, move a little bit carefully with it. So it just depends on what the client's goal is and what they're trying to do, right? So just, yeah.
Roxy Marquez, give us some words of advice to leave us with.
Words of advice. Words of advice. It doesn't matter how much you think you know. It is never enough.
I love that. I think that's so good.
It really isn't. Yeah, I'm telling you, we see this all the time with people that think I don't need help. I already know I'm good financially. And then something happens, and then you see the GoFundMe pop up.
Yeah. No,
It's never enough, especially when it comes to finances. It is never enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to tell the Lawyer Stories community today?
No, Benny, I really appreciate you having me here today.
Yeah,
It's been awesome. A pleasure chatting with you.
You're a very smart young lady. I appreciate all of your insights, and congratulations on your big success.
Thank you so much.
Things, and you seem happy, and that's important too. So, stay right there. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers. Solo real estate practice.
Thank you.
I remember my real estate exam in law school. It was like I got to work with somebody else, and he had worked at a real estate firm. Thank goodness.
That's great.
He knew like all the answers, which was great. Because I think it was like an oral exam too, which was like really weird. Yeah. So, congratulations to you on your success.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing more of you and posting more of your stuff and introducing you to anybody we know. Honestly.
Thank you. It's great meeting you.
Yeah, likewise. Stay right there, okay? Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.